Hello, and welcome to Time of Death. I'm your host, Ris.
And I'm your host, Dee.
If you are new here, welcome. We are two nurses that love to talk true crime. We like to focus on cases that have a heavy medical influence to them or cases that feature a medical professional as the perpetrator or the victim.
Thank you, Ris. And before we get into it, I just want to let everyone know we are thinking of all the people throughout the United States that have been impacted by hurricanes in the last couple of weeks. Milton and Helene. We're thinking about you guys. There's been devastation. People are missing. Animals are missing. Family, friends, houses destroyed, towns gone. I'm sure that there's other things. There's also fires going on in Wyoming. Just a lot of natural disasters everywhere. And we are thinking about you guys. You're in our thoughts and prayers. And I hope that through these episodes, maybe you're able to find some solace. Just we are thinking about you guys, and we hope everyone is well and found safe.
Yes, we do talk about true crime, and we talk about nursing. But do we ever talk about haunted places?
Let me look back at the 100 whatever episodes was when. The only thing that came close was the H.H. Holmes Castle.
Yeah.
That's the closest thing that I can think of off the top of my head.
So, a short answer would be probably no. But tonight, that all changes as we talk about the Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
The Wizards of Waverly Place.
The Wizards of Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
The psychiatrists. They are some wizards out there. Oh, did you hear that there's new evidence to support that H.H. Holmes is Jack the Ripper? That just came out.
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to show you after I made a post on Instagram about it.
On our Instagram?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I gotta keep updated with that thing.
You have to learn how to use Instagram, Ris. Coming from me, I'm not 100% sure.
Do you have a personal Instagram?
No. I had a Finsta.
What's a Finsta?
It's a fake Insta.
Oh, geez. I had one too.
We spied together.
Yeah. But,
on She Who Shall Not Be Named.
I always wanted to get an Instagram, but then I thought it's way too late, for me to get one.
We're millennials. We're too old for that shit.
Yeah.
The Gen Zs, the Alphas, they all got the gram.
No, everyone has an Instagram, D.
Not everyone.
No. Millennials have Instagrams.
No.
Gen X has Instagrams.
Really?
Yeah. We just never went into it. I was like, I don't want to use social media.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait, yeah, I do. But it was too late. Now I feel like it's too late for me to join.
The ship has sailed.
Anyway. But we are going to talk about the Waverly Hills Sanatorium, which is a haunted hospital. A sanatorium is basically like a clinic. A lot of the times it's for longer term care patients. And it's regarded as one of the world's most haunted places, actually. It's in Louisville, Kentucky. So let's get ready. Grab your Ghostbuster guns and come for a ride with us.
Oh my God.
Come for a ghostly tour with us.
Usually I'm the cheese ball, and that was the cheesiest thing you've ever said in your life. Grab your Ghostbuster guns.
I thought it was funny.
I did not.
Rude.
Grab your Ghostbuster guns.
Grab your Ghostbuster guns.
Did you even see Ghost? I never saw Ghostbusters. It does not appeal to me.
I never saw it either, too.
Wait.
I know what it's about, though. For sure.
It's in the name.
Yeah, they're they're busting ghosts.
Who are you gonna call?
Ghostbusters.
Anybody but Riz.
Don't call me.
You've never seen Ghostbusters?
No.
Well, you want to give a message to the podcast?
Ghostbusters was a great movie.
You need to talk into the mic.
Come closer. Come closer, brother.
Bill Murray is a national treasure. He's in Ghostbusters.
Thanks. I know him from Groundhog Day, so. Anyways, I digress.
Bill Murray's in a lot of the oh geez, who's that director?
Adam Sandler.
No, there's a director with like the Royal Tenenbaums.
What?
He's in the Royal Tenenbaums. It's like the
the.
I forgot, but they're like very colorful, like cinematic masterpieces.
Wes Anderson.
Thanks.
Let me know if you need any other
Cultural references.
actual movie takes.
Oh,
We have a real professional here today.
the only one. The only one.
So let's just head back in time to 1887.
Okay.
Picture this. A beautiful property has just become home to the Hayes family. And the dad of the family, he's Major Hayes. And he notices that there aren't any schools nearby. So he thinks, let's fix this problem. And he hires a teacher named Lizzie Lee Harris. And Lizzie Lee Harris was a big fan of this author named Walter Scott. And inspired by Walter Scott, she names the school Waverly Hill.
Walter Scott. What did he write?
I don't know.
I don't know. No.
I don't know, Dee. Don't ask me. Don't ask me. She names the school Waverly Hill, and Major Hayes loves this name so much that he decides to name his big property, the house where he's living in with his kids, Waverly Hill as well. And time goes on, and in the 1900s in Jefferson County, there was a lot of TB. And
You mean TB, tuberculosis?
tuberculosis.
I thought you said TV, and I was like, hold on.
No, not TB, TB.
Television sets for all.
Tuberculosis. So, tuberculosis was nicknamed the White Plague. And Louisville, Kentucky was perfect for TB to thrive
Why is that, Riss?
because there's a lot of wetlands, and this bacteria loved the wetlands. And so TB was TBing at this time.
You know that we are not Gen Z because we say TBB TB.
TBB TBing.
Is that what they say nowadays?
They're going to laugh at this.
Yeah. I'm not in touch. I'm out of touch. I'm too old.
We got to like research next time.
No cap. No cap. I had a patient say that to me.
No cap.
No cap. I was like, dead ass?
For real?
For real? For
Is
real?
that, do they say for real still?
And they have to.
We're not that old.
I'm that old.
Yeah.
Yeah. No hesitation, just agrees. Yeah.
The city basically bought the property and they kept the same name. So it was called Waverly Hills Sanatorium. And it became a sanatorium to take care of TB patients. And it went under construction in 1908 and it finally opened in 1910 so that it could.
That's right around when you were born.
Look at her face. She's hurt.
You snort very beautifully.
I mean, that sounded.
Oh, never mind.
It was able to hold about 40 to 50 patients in a 2-story structure. So there was the main building and then there was 2 pavilions, each able to house about like 20 patients on each side. They needed more room eventually. So in August 1912, patients from the city's hospital ended up being moved to tents at the Waverly Hills grounds while construction there started. And in December 1912, the property was able to hold about 40 advanced tuberculosis patients. And then in 1914, a children's wing was added to hold 50 pediatric patients and children also of adult patients with TB. So the property was holding about 130 patients at this time, but they needed more room. The integrity of Waverly Hills was threatened constantly because the wooden structure was in need of repair often, and the number of tuberculosis patients was growing exponentially. In 1923, construction of a 5-story large hospital began there, and it opened up in 1926. It was kind of like its own little town. It had its own zip code, post office, and even it had some room for farming. For farming. But because of the nature of tuberculosis, no one could come out, including doctors, nurses, and other staff. Let's talk a little bit about tuberculosis.
Go off, sis.
Tuberculosis is caused by a bacteria, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and shockingly, it has been around for a long time. There is actually telltale signs on spinal column fragments of tuberculosis, on Egyptian mummies, back from 2400 BCE. So it's been around for a while. Hippocrates, who was born in 460 BCE, so like 1,940 years later, wrote about consumption, which is TB, tuberculosis, and he wrote that it was widespread and almost always ended in the death of its victims. In the late 1600s, the anatomy and physiology of TB was a little more explored, and they even began isolating items that had contact with the deceased TB victims as they recognized the potential for transmission of the bacteria. Wow. And in the 1700s, they began to better understand the transmission of TB from person to person, such as living in close quarters with someone with TB. So this was kind of remarkable that there was that shift from treatment to prevention. Not just treating the issue when it arises, but preventing the issue from happening altogether. This was like a very modern idea at the time. Today, we know TB is an airborne infection, so this is pretty astute.
Big brain over here.
A big brain. There was a botany student from Silesia, which today is basically Poland, but some areas of Silesia are also in Germany and Croatia. Anyway, he was named Hermann Bremer, and in the mid-1800s, he actually had TB. And his doctor advised him to try a healthier environment to heal in. So he went to the Himalayan mountains, and he was able to continue his education there while he began the healing process. And he actually got better, and he was able to return home to study medicine. He healed himself, basically. Here he was able to have clean air, clean water, clean environment. There was lots of trees around, like really good for healing.
That's one of Florence Nightingale's tenets. Like cleanliness and like that having an impact on people's overall health.
Thank you, Florence.
That's actually, shout out to Florence, our grandma.
Florence, our grandma, and Florence Nightingale, our two girls.
Yeah, they are.
So Herman comes home and he actually wrote a dissertation named Tuberculosis is a Curable Disease, and he built the first sanatorium. And the sanatorium sat among fir trees, and there was lots of fresh air, and that's kind of where that idea for sanatoriums started. In 1865, it was discovered that TB could be passed from humans to cattle to rabbits. So the thinking process here was it was likely a specific microorganism that was causing TB, which was a huge breakthrough. That it didn't just target people at random times. There was something that was causing people to get ill.
Wow.
They did not know it was a bacteria at this time, of course. In 1882, Robert Koch developed a staining technique, and he was able to finally see Microbacterium tuberculosis in a slide. And meanwhile, sanatoriums are gaining traction, and the idea of providing rest, nutrition, and sanitary conditions was prioritized a little more, as well as more treatments like artificial pneumothorax and surgical intervention to reduce the lung volume in TB patients. So there was some treatments, but nothing really gained, much significant improvement until 1943, when streptomycin was finally introduced. Streptomycin is an antibiotic. Anyway, it had really good effect in animal testing subjects. And in 1944, it was given for the first time to a tuberculosis patient who was critically ill. And it was kind of like magic. Progression of the illness stopped. His sputum no longer had evidence of tuberculosis present in it, and he was rapidly improving. Streptomycin was used for patients, and eventually other antibiotics were also introduced to its regimen, including p-aminosalicylic acid in 1949, isoniazid in 1952, parazinamide in 1954, cycloserine in 1955, ethambutol in 1962, and rifampin in 1963. By 1961, these antibiotics, especially streptomycin, were so effective that the hospital closed down. So they didn't really need that much space anymore. So at this time, 1961, any remaining patients were sent to another hospital, the Hazelwood Sanatorium in Louisville. And in 1962, it was reopened as a nursing home called Woodhaven Geriatric Center. It didn't do so great. It was packed with patients, and understaffing was a huge issue. And there were also some reports of neglect. It actually was closed down by the state in 1980, where it remained abandoned for about 20 years. And over this 20-year period, multiple people tried to reform it into different things, but nothing really stuck. In 1983, this guy named Clifford Todd bought it for $3 million, and he wanted to turn it into a minimum security prison. But neighbors complained, and they said, absolutely not. We are not having a prison in our neighborhood. So Todd said, okay, let's do apartments instead, but that never panned out. In 1996, Robert Alberhaski bought the property, and his Alberhaski's Christ the Redeemer Foundation wanted to build the tallest statue of Jesus ever. Right there on the property, and also house an arts and worship center. However, they needed about $12 million to do all of these things, and they were only able to raise $3,000. So that never happened either, and it was stopped in its tracks in 1997. They were going to make what Waverly Hills Sanatorium into a hotel too at some point, but that never panned out either. People had begun to go there for ghost hunting and other paranormal ventures, along with some professional paranormal investigators as well. In 2001, a couple named Charles and Tina Mattingly bought Waverly Hills, and they began to restore it. Staff and volunteers working the restoration reported worsening haunting tales. They reported slamming doors and a mysterious man wearing white drifting down the hallways. Confrontations with a young ghost named Timmy, who had an affinity for playing with a ball, were also reported.
You know, it's so interesting. I don't know who has seen American Horror Story, but a lot of the inspiration for different seasons seems to come from this facility.
This one?
Yeah.
It's actually open to the public now, so people can tour the haunted halls, and paranormal professionals can also do private investigations there. And now, fun fact, they actually have a haunted house you can go through there.
Would you go? We're taking a road trip.
We're taking a road trip. Thousands of patients had died there because of lethality of tuberculosis at the time. Rumors of ghost adults and children were rumored to haunt the halls of the sanatorium. Visitors claimed to hear screaming and laughing in the halls. There is a 600-foot tunnel in the sanatorium that was used to carry stuff between the heating plant at the bottom of this hill and the main building. And there are numerous reports that it was used to transport dead bodies to ambulances at the bottom of the hill to kind of keep them out of sight from the other patients. People claim to see orbs and balls of light floating in the tunnels, and they also claim to see ghosts or spirits there as well. Room 502 was located in the rooftop chambers, and that one's known to be especially haunted as well. It's believed to have held tuberculosis patients who also had comorbid mental illnesses. And it is also rumored to have been the site of a suicide of a nurse.
Wow.
We can't find
terrible.
much information on that, though. But anyway, that's it.
Well, RIP to all of our people that passed away from tuberculosis. And it's really sad that they, the mental health that they isolated those patients with psychiatric illnesses.
Yeah.
So you know that they were not receiving the same care
No,
as other patients
Yeah.
without psychiatric components.
for sure. Yeah.
Great case.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing that. Was in such in the spirit of Halloween, and
I figured we might change it up a little.
love it. So now we have to add that it can be a person who is either the victim, the perpetrator, or a hospital. That's
A haunted place.
okay. That changes the ballgame a little bit. That does. I hope everyone is having a safe, spooky season. Again, we're thinking about everybody impacted by the inclement weather and the natural disasters going on. Fresh, I think USA.
Yes, please be safe out there, and our thoughts and prayers and hearts are with all of you.
Yes, and our final word will be from Babushka Baba Yaga.
No, we're not doing this, guys. Mom, you look so...
Night. Good night, my little darlings. I hope you sleep tight after all these scary stories.
That was an excellent Russian accent.
For sure.
All right, on that note, good night, one. Good night, all. Farewell. So long. See you next week.
Thank you all for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to like us, rate us, review us. Let us know if there's any cases that you'd like us to research and present. And as always, take care and stay safe. Let's call it. D.
We're calling it. The time is 19:04. That's 7:04 for all you non-military, non-medical folks. Thanks for tuning in. Hope everyone is safe. Love you guys. See you all next week. Bye-bye.
See y'all next week. Bye.